Welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be removing the front end to re-grease and re-torque the steering head bearings. Now the steering head bearings need re-torquing every 6,000 miles once a year, and they need re-greasing every 12,000 miles or every 2 years. Now this one was last re-greased about 15 months ago. So I'm going to need to jack the bike up. I'm quite lucky in having a bike stand. You don't actually need one, you'll get away without it. You will need the rear paddock stand, you're going to struggle otherwise. But what you can do, and I have done in the past, is use a trolley jack under the engine, and then you can jack it up and get the front end off the ground as well. So before we jack the stand up, it's a little bit easier to unloosen some bolts and nuts before you start, because it will be difficult when it's on the stand. So we're going to be taking the handlebars off in a second, so we can then loosen off the main headstock bolt. We'll also be loosening off the clamp bolts and taking the mudguard off and the brakes and of course the wheel. I'm just going to hang the handlebars over here in a second, just protect that. Worth protecting your tank as well, of course. I do have a separate video on doing this if you want a slightly easier method. If you don't want to totally strip it apart, of just separating the steering head to get some grease in there, which I'll put a link up in the description. But in that video somebody commented on the fact that I put the handlebars and I left them in that position, worrying about air going into the master cylinder. I'd be more concerned about liquid leaking out of it more than anything else, but you know, that should be okay like that. I can't really give it any more, so I'm going to try and get a bungee strap or something. Okay, so I've got a bungee strap which I'm just lightly hooking around this just to stop it falling off. Should be okay. Okay, to loosen off the main nut you're going to need a 38mm socket. I like to put a rag or something over it, just to stop it damaging the nut, if you like. It's a good idea as well to hold the wheel between your legs. Good. Good. So I've got an easy riser bike stand. So what I'm doing here is just adjusting the clamps. So you put these clamps around the foot pegs, which is the sort of main support. in underneath the engine. You can just about see a little block of wood. And then you wind it up using the ratchet there. You can use a drill, but I only wanted to lift it slightly. There we go, so that's the bike up in the air. You don't really need to go any higher than that. It's up to you, really. Like so, you can get away with it by putting a trolley jack under there and jacking that up if you wanted to. Okay, let's try and get it now fully apart, so wheels off, brake calipers, etc. Okay, so I don't mind leaving the caliper hanging for a short space of time, but if it's going to be a long time, try to support it. Okay, remember doing this side, you have an ABS sensor as well to take off. Cool. It does say in the owner's manual to replace that bolt. That's up to you if you do. Okay, it gives you a chance then to clean up your ABS sensor as well. Pop that in there temporarily. I probably won't change the bolt personally. Of course, do your own thing, make your own mind up. Also remember, when taking this off, you do have 2 pinch bolts under there, and I did forget. Cool, now that came off a lot easier than it did last time I took these off. Always check your space as well. Now these are the same size, but some bikes they might differ from one side to the other. If you're not sure, just slide them on the spindle that way. Okay, now I could hire the bike and get the wheel off there, but I'm taking the mudguard off anyway. I always like to look at the bike, I always like to look at the bolts when I take them off the bike for the first time. Now I bought this bike new, so I know that from new this did have thread lock on it. No, sorry, not thread lock, copper grease. You can see it there, look. Okay, now we're going to continue just getting the forks out, just slackening these off more. I didn't want to completely slacken them off in case the fork just fell out, which it probably wouldn't, but you never know. maybe a good idea to clean these, stop all the crap scratching it. If you notice there, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters which way around this goes. You know, it's not important which way this is facing. But I just put a 12 o'clock marker on it, just in case. Okay, so you will need a special tool, a castle nut, to take this off. I'll try and put a link in the description where I got this one from. It's quite good quality. So you get your tabbed washer, your kind of lock washer if you like. Okay, and then there's another one. So this one is used to kind of set the tension, and the other one then is, I think, is the lock nut. It's quite loose actually. Okay. Cool. So we're off. That wasn't too difficult. Good. All looking still good, all well greased. Like I say, I'd rather do it more often than not. Okay, so there's the bottom yoke or steering stem. Now there is an ulterior motive for me taking this off. You notice there, I managed to snap off one of the legs. I did drop the bike. Only off the side stand, you know, it caused no damage to the actual bike itself. But it did snap that off. So I'm going to try and repair that. I'm not going to use any solvents to clean this bearing because it's very clean anyway. The grease is very clean. Just going to give it a little tidy up. Just try to inspect it for any sort of marks, discoloration. Looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to try and repair this with this JB Weld. It's an American thing, they rave about it. Let's see if it can do the job. I'm going to try and drill into that, and I'm going to try and put some sort of peg in there. And work from there if you like. So just give this drill bit a little sharpen on the sharpening wheel. I'm no expert at sharpening drill bits, but it seems to be working better. Like I say, I'm putting this back on just for cosmetic reasons more than anything else. Very rarely do you go lock to lock, unless you drop the bike. Okay, so I've got a small peg out of an old drill bit, just to give that a bit of strength. So I'm going to just start building this up now with a bit of JB weld. I'm going to probably not do it all in one go. I'll probably build it up a bit at a time. Okay, so I've mixed up a little bit of JB weld. So I'm going to probably do this in a couple of stages. I suppose if I put too much on, you can always file it down. So let's put some in there. Just put the peg in. Of course, I've cleaned this all down. I filed it down and I've tried to file some grooves to give some grip. And I've cleaned it all down with brake cleaner. So I won't bore you to death with hours of footage of me building this up. Here's just a couple of quick photos. The warning on the side of the tube did concern me. Okay, so we've got the repair done on the lower clamp. And we're now going to fit the bearings. These have all been cleaned up quite nicely. They look in reasonable condition. There are some small shadows or marks on the bearing races on the actual frame itself, but it doesn't look too bad and it feels okay when you're riding it. Maybe next time I do this I might change them. So we're just going to pack this up with some grease. Just trying to push it in there. Okay, so the tightening procedure for the headstock nuts are as follows. So this is the lock-in nut, which should first of all be tightened to 40 Newton meters. Sorry, this is actually the adjuster nut. Okay, then slackened off. What I'm trying not to do is put that repair on the headstock under tension. A bit more tricky. Just trying to turn it there, you can feel it's quite tight at 40 Newton meters. Actually feels a little bit notchy, so I'll definitely be changing those bearings next time. Obviously it's not going to be as notchy when I take some tension out of it. Okay, and then we're going to re-tighten to 15 Newton meters. So the 40 Newton meters originally is just to set the bearing, I guess. Yeah, 15 is next to nothing. It does feel a little bit notchy actually. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm going to take that off again, have a look at it. Okay, I've gone a little bit heavier on the grease. Don't know if that's going to make a difference or not. I think the bearings will need changing sooner rather than later. Which is quite disappointing on a 11,500 mile bike. Definitely notchy. Okay, so again now 40 Newton meters to set the bearing. Slacken back off again. 15 Newton meters. Okay, so we have our tab washer, which should be replaced apparently. And then our lock-in nut. Now we need to tighten the lock-in nut whilst trying to hold the adjusting nut from moving. I have done this in the past without having a C-spanner. You can just see whether it's going to move or not. There we go. So then our top yoke goes on. And then our top cap, which needs to be tightened to 90 Newton meters. I'm not going to do that till the forks are in. Okay, so now that I got the fork pointing the correct way, the adjustment now is to get this line 5mm below the bottom of the yoke. Cool. Same the other side. Okay, so the upper yoke pinch bolts are 25 Newton meters. Sorry, 20 Newton meters, and the lower pinch bolts are 25. So 20 for the top, 25 for the bottoms. So that one's gone loose again. So as you tighten them up, go through them again. It's okay when there's only one. Cool, same on the other side. Okay, and top nut is 90 Newton meters. Remember, the rag is always helpful. Stops damage. That feels quite good. It felt notchy the first time, but that feels okay now. Maybe with all the weight of all the forks and everything on it. Cool. Right, handlebars next, I think. Okay, so you've got this little cross here, this little mark, and I believe that should be lined up with the edge of here, which you can't see now. And the cross section then lined up with the top of the yoke. I don't think it really matters, like these here, because some people might prefer the handlebars a bit more up or down or whatever. So it's just a guideline, I believe. Giving everything a little polish as well. I'm sure there's a tightening sequence for this, whereas you tighten the bottom ones first and then the top ones. I'm not entirely sure, but I can't really be bothered to look. But just in case somebody's getting picky, that's what you should do, I think. Just going to give this a little bit of tension, just holding in place. Okay, that's pretty much where the line lines up. I'm quite happy with that. That'll do. Okay, so 26 Newton meters. Okay, so we've got our little brace for the wiring. I'm pretty sure there's a torque setting for this nut or bolt, but I don't know what it is and I can't be bothered to look. Okay. Just check everything's moving as it should. Feels quite smooth. Okay, wheel on. I'm not going to fully do that up until I get the bike off the stand, because you've got to pump the suspension ever so slightly. Remember, these had a little bit of copper grease on them, or anti-seize, whatever you'd like to call it. Okay, nearly there, just getting the calipers back on. Okay, if you notice on the thread of the bolt, I've put a little bit of copper grease because the manufacturer tells you to. On some videos I see people put in Loctite. Now I would have thought Loctite would have been a better thing, but I would only use what the manufacturer says. Just snugging these up slightly. I'm not going to torque them up until, again, the bike is on the floor. Okay, we've got our ABS sensor to put back on. I can't remember if it tells you to put thread lock on this bolt or not. It does tell you actually to replace it, but I haven't. But I'm sure there's thread lock on there. I think I read it somewhere, but I can't remember where. Okay, now this is 9 Newton meters. It's almost nothing, isn't it? Very important Very important as well to make sure you've got your air gap between your ABS sensor and of course your ABS rotor. That looks okay. There is a specific gap, can't remember what it is. Okay, so with the bike on the floor, there is a set procedure to tighten up the front wheel, where you should apply the brake and just bounce the suspension a little just to set it. And then you tighten up your spindle to 65 Newton meters. And then your pinch bolts are 19 Newton meters. Okay, so I've done this procedure slightly wrong. I should have tightened the wheel spindle before pumping the suspension. And then your brake calipers are 55 Newton meters. Cool. Good. Remember to wipe the brake discs down with a little bit of brake cleaner just in case you've got oil and stuff on them. If you like that video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.